Gordon Hayward is the most coveted free agent left on the free agent market, and I'm here to discuss why, if the New Orleans Pelicans decided to try to go after Gordon Hayward, it would elevate them to one of the top 3 title contenders in the NBA. Now, I know that it's highly unlikely Gordon Hayward will sign with the New Orleans Pelicans, as it is rumored he will either sign with the Boston Celtics, the Miami Heat, or re-sign with the Utah Jazz. Except, I don't think any of those signings are as favorable for Gordon Hayward as the New Orleans Pelicans. And here's why. The Miami Heat. If Gordon Hayward decides to sign with the Miami Heat, that forms a big 3 of Goran Dragic, Hassan Whiteside, and Gordon Hayward. That big 3, I don't believe is enough to get by the Cleveland Cavaliers next season, or for seasons to come. I think would fit them anywhere in between that 2 to 5 seed in the Eastern Conference, possibly losing in the second round. So it doesn't fulfill Gordon Hayward's desire of winning. Now, the Boston Celtics. Although it would be nice for Gordon Hayward to be reignited with Brad Stevens again, his former college coach, the Boston Celtics have shown that they're willing to hoard picks, and if Gordon Hayward's in win now mode, building towards the future with all these picks wouldn't really interest Gordon that much. And now back to the Utah Jazz. Although they did take a lot of leaps forward last season, making it to the second round of the playoffs, actually making the playoffs again, they are almost maxed out on their potential, I believe. They don't have as many young talent as many people believe, and they don't really have much more space to grow. So Gordon Hayward, second round, I don't see the Utah Jazz going much further than that in the future. While the New Orleans Pelicans, they already have 2 of the probably the best big men in the entire NBA, with DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis. That move was made during the season last year to acquire DeMarcus Cousins, and it seems like many people are forgetting about them this offseason. A lot of the talk has been around the Houston Rockets, what they've done with Chris Paul, the Denver Nuggets signing Paul Millsap, the Minnesota Timberwolves and all their moves, the OKC Thunder with Paul George, but everyone seems to forget that the 2 best big men in the NBA are on the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, in today's NBA, we hear a lot about, oh yeah, you need a big 3 or a big 4 to possibly win a title in the NBA. But let's look at some of the title contenders or Western Conference contenders in the Western Conference next season, and we'll see that many of them don't even have big 3s. All they have are big 2s. The San Antonio Spurs, LaMarcus Aldridge, Kawhi Leonard. The Los Angeles Clippers still, Blake Griffin and now DeAndre Jordan. The Oklahoma City Thunder, Paul George, Russell Westbrook. Houston Rockets, James Harden, Chris Paul. Memphis Grizzlies, Mike Conley, Marc Gasol, and the New Orleans Pelicans with DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis. So in terms of on paper, with star power, the New Orleans Pelicans compare to all of the contenders in the Western Conference next year. So it's beside me how they aren't considered in this conversation. And they also have a very incredible third player with Jrue Holiday on that roster. So the reason why I believe New Orleans isn't being considered is that the NBA has kind of transitioned away from inside to more outside shooting. But we've heard a lot of reporters say right now that if you want to beat the Golden State Warriors, you can't beat them at their own game. You have to find outside the box thinking in order to trouble them. So what better way than having the 2 best big men on the exact same roster? Now, the problem is with the New Orleans Pelicans is they have 2 big holes right now, I feel, on their roster. 3-point shooting. Even though I just said you want to think outside the box, you still need some of it in order to space the floor to allow their 2 big men to go to work, and another perimeter playmaker. Although they have Jrue Holiday, who is an excellent player, in giving him the ball the entire time and creating all the playmaking for their team is too much of a role to ask for him. And what other guards on that team can really create their own shot and create threats to take off the pressure off of DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis? Quincy Pondexter? No. Solomon Hill? No. E'Twaun Moore? No. So Gordon Hayward would be the perfect signing, as it creates another playmaker on that New Orleans Pelicans team who can create his own shot and be a threat from the perimeter and three-point shooting on that team. Now, although the New Orleans Pelicans currently are over the salary cap, I have a plan that they could execute in order to clear up some cap space to have the money available to sign Gordon Hayward. The first trade the Pelicans should make is with the Brooklyn Nets. Now, the Brooklyn Nets have said that they are willing to give up or to take on some larger contracts in order to bring in picks. So the first trade, the Pelicans should trade Solomon Hill, E'Twaun Moore, and their 2018 first-round picks to the Nets for Joe Harris and Spencer Dinwiddie. Now, you'd be wondering, why would the Pelicans want to give up the first-round pick? Now, here's why. In this scenario of signing Gordon Hayward, the Pelicans will be contending next year, so their pick should fall anywhere between that 20 to 30 range, so it's not as valuable. Plus, they're able to give up two huge contracts they have on their books in Solomon Hill and E'Twaun Moore, which fills up over $20 million in cap space. They're also bringing in two players by the name of Joe Harris and Spencer Dinwiddie that both shot over 38% from three-point range last season, so it instantly fulfills that need of three-point shooting. The other trade they would need to make to free up a little bit more cap space is trade Omer Asik and 2 second-round picks to the Hawks for Mike Muscala. The reason why it has to be done with the Hawks is because they did not re-sign Paul Millsap, and they still have a lot of cap space available on their team, and in order for them to even hit the cap floor, they have to take on some contracts. So Omer Asik would be the perfect acquisition for them, as they're also able to acquire 2 second-round picks from the New Orleans Pelicans. Mike Muscala would also be a very nice trade for the Pelicans, as he has a very small contract, as did Joe Harris and Spencer Dinwiddie, and Mike Muscala shot over 40% from the three-point line last season. So that's another floor spacer on that team. Now, if you add that in with the cap space they now have, they're able to sign Gordon Hayward. Now, imagine a starting five with Drew Holiday, who is a very capable point guard in the NBA, and probably the best, or one of the best, fourth best players on any team in the NBA. You'd also have, at their weakest position though, Quincy Pondexter, but then you'd have in your starting five also Gordon Hayward, DeMarcus Cousins, and Anthony Davis. And now with their new acquisitions of Mike Muscala, Joe Harris, and Spencer Dinwiddie coming off the bench, you instantly have floor spacing on your team to fulfill that role. Now, this is why I believe this would take them to the next level, and they would be able to compete in the Western Conference and for an NBA championship next season with this team. In this scenario, they probably would have to play the Golden State Warriors. But how in the world would the Golden State Warriors be able to stop Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins? If they could keep their current center with Zaza Pachulia, how in the world is Zaza going to stop Davis or Cousins? He can't. If you put Draymond that power forward, and although he's a great defender, he's undersized and wouldn't be able to contain them. You could put Kevin Durant on one of them, although he matches them for height. In terms of build, he's not as big as them, so he'd be worn down, and he thus wouldn't be as efficient on the offensive end, as he has to rely much more heavily on the defensive end. So this would create instant matchup problems, and exactly what NBA execs are saying with thinking outside the box, this is exactly what the New Orleans Pelicans would do. Also, with Gordon Hayward on the perimeter, it would create matchup problems, as they're not allowed to double Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins inside, as the kick option to Gordon Hayward, who can play make and provide to their three-point shooters, will create instant problems on the defensive ends for not only the Warriors but most other teams. Back to the Warriors, they'd be able to be defended perfectly by the New Orleans Pelicans, as their guards, the New Orleans Pelicans guards, could press very hard on Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, as they know even if they got beat off the dribble, they have two very capable rim protectors inside with Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. So they can guard the three-point line, one of the Warriors' best assets, incredibly well. Also, you have an elite defender in Gordon Hayward, who may not be able to completely shut down Steph or Klay, but he's definitely able to disrupt them and create problems for them on the offensive end. So I wouldn't say I would pick the Pelicans in a matchup of the Warriors, but it would definitely be their most difficult matchup, even harder than Cleveland next year if they're able to bring in Gordon Hayward. This is exactly why I think the New Orleans Pelicans should try to acquire Gordon Hayward next season, as it would take them instantly into a title contention spot and allows them to perfectly build for the future, as it shows DeMarcus Cousins that the Pelicans are all in and it would want to make him re-sign with their team, and they would have a potential dynasty in the making for the coming years.